work, one whole day to play. Come on, everybody, wear your roller skates today. It's Saturday, 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 it's Saturday, Saturday, it's Saturday, Saturday, it's Saturday, yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Career Exploration Saturday. I'm your host, Ebony Tyler. I have real conversations with real people about real jobs. All right, this week I sat down with my friend, Chef Luciana Lamboy, a Midwood High School alum. Yes, there's a pattern here with Midwood. So, Hornets, if you want to be on Career Exploration Saturday, reach out to your girl. All right, Chef Lucy shares how her creative spirit led her to Italy, where she learned to make a mean bowl of pasta, to Boston, where she interned at America's Test Kitchen, to chefing it up for documentarian Michael Moore. Lucy dropped some jewels about finding out about what you like about your profession and then leveraging the relationships that you have built in your industry for your next move. All right, let's get right into my conversation with Lucy. Hi, so today our guest is Chef Luciana. Luciana is the chef and co-owner of Lockdown Kitchen, a pop-up kitchen that was created during the COVID pandemic. She provides takeout and delivery meals. She is also the personal chef to Michael Moore, the documentarian. She has worked in restaurants throughout New York City, as well as winning a James Beard scholarship that sent her to Italy, where she worked in one Michelin star restaurant, Dubois. Did I say that right?
I think so. Yeah, I don't even know how to say it.
Luciana currently works as a food stylist and recipe developer in food media outlets such as Bon Appetit, Food 52, and Apartment Therapies, The Kitchen. Welcome, Lucy. Welcome.
Hey, hello, everybody.
So I'm so excited to have you here today. And I like to start off all of our conversations with, tell us, who was 16-year-old Lucy?
Oh boy, 16-year-old Lucy, which you knew me back then. I definitely did not have it all together. I went to Midwood High School in Brooklyn, New York. Midwood, and
Go Hornets!
I didn't know a lot about myself, I think, at 16. I think I was just like most typical teenagers, kind of lost, kind of trying to figure it out. But I was mostly a good kid. I wasn't giving trouble to my, parents at home. I was going to school. I was getting decent grades. So, I think I should have had some guidance, a little bit more guidance, I think. But I did have a good support system.
So what happened after you graduated Midwood?
So after I graduated Midwood, I have to give a lot of accolades to my next door neighbor. My best friend lived next door. She's still my best friend till this day. And her mother was really, really heavy on schooling and finding opportunities for people of color and for women especially. So she dibbled and dabbled, and she found out a lot of information about programs that I could get into. So I was actually a part of this program, and I cannot remember the name of it, but it was on the Upper West Side. And pretty much I would go to this woman weekly, and she would help me fill out scholarship forms. She would help me apply to school. She would help me do all these things. And it was called, I forget the name of it, something with a G. I will find out, and we can put it in the edit later. But yeah, it was a difficult time. But what I ended up doing was I went to St. John's University in Queens, go Red Storm. And, as great of an experience as it was kind of jarring because it was a lot of money. I ended up spending over $30,000 within my first year of schooling. So if I could go back and change that, I might have, but I did gain a lot of experience being in the real world.
Okay. And did you graduate from St. John's? What was your major at St. John's?
So I did not graduate from St. John's. I actually have 12 credits left for my psychology degree. Believe it or not, I have one semester to have a bachelor's in psychology. And what was the other question? I'm sorry.
Did you graduate from St. John's, and what was your major? So you got both of that. So how did you pivot from St. John's into food? Because, you are personal chef to Michael Moore, you're a food stylist, you run a pop-up. How did you get from not graduating at St. John's to food?
That's a long story. Um, so, after college, I dropped out because I needed money. So I started working. I started working at a hospital that my father worked at, called Lutheran Medical Center. It's now NYU. But, he got me a job there. He had a little plug, and I got kind of complacent, and I worked there for about 5 years after leaving St. John's. And, the money was good. I had a union. I had kind of like it was just sitting in a computer chair. I was an administrative assistant, kind of. So it was a simple job, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy being in front of a computer every day. And I'm a creative spirit, so I know that I need to do something with my hands, and I knew that because I started to become kind of depressed and just, like I said, complacent with my everyday life. So I would go home, and I couldn't wait to go home because I would cook a meal every night. And I was living with my ex-boyfriend at the time, and he had a lot of help in encouraging me to go to culinary school. He bought me my first knife set. He paid for my first demo class, and he was really, really encouraging in that sense. So he was just like, "You should go to school for this. You could be really good at it." And I took his advice, and I enrolled in culinary school.
What culinary school did you go to? Did you go to one of those
Uh,
fancy, expensive ones?
Not at all. No, no, no. I looked into going to those expensive ones, but like I said earlier, I had already spent $30,000 in my first year at St. John's, so couldn't do that. I actually went to Kingsborough Community College, and Kingsborough it's a really good school in the sense that it's a 2-year degree, so you're not committed for this long 4-year run, but the culinary program was absolutely amazing. Like, I loved every part of it, and because of my choice to go there, I ended up getting that James Beard scholarship because of the teachers there and the help that they gave me.
So that scholarship, okay, so you went to Kingsborough, you got an associate's degree
Yes,
in
and
culinary arts.
yes.
And I recall being at Kingsborough for graduation, and I like looked in the book and I saw that you graduated. I was like, wait, she's not even here.
Yeah, because
And you were in Italy.
yes, so because I had won the award, the program in Italy, which was actually another culinary school, was like an extension. So because I had won the award, I had to leave, I think, 2 weeks before graduation. And so I didn't even finish my semester, but my teachers were so happy for me that they allowed me to do my finals and everything overseas. So that's why I wasn't at graduation. And I remember you sending me that picture too. It was funny.
What was the experience like in Italy?
You know, so living in Italy was tough. It was tough mainly because I didn't speak the language, and a language barrier. I actually felt, I think, how many people who come here to America feel when they don't speak, English. And I was kind of like an outsider. So luckily, in the first month that I worked there, I was in a school that was full of foreigners. So everyone spoke different languages, but everyone spoke English because that's kind of like a universal language. But as soon as I had to go into the restaurant part of the program, which is, so first you have a schooling part, which is a month, and then your last 2 months you spend in a restaurant working full time. As soon as I got into the restaurant experience, my experience kind of just went downhill. It was extremely hard to communicate with people. Of course, culture is different, so there were just a lot of hiccups that I had to overcome. I'm a social person, and I need to talk to people, and
Mhm.
I could not, I couldn't, express myself to people. I couldn't talk to them and tell them if I was feeling down, if I was happy. So it was really tough in that sense. But it was an absolutely amazing experience. I would do it again if I could.
So what did you learn while you were in Italy, as it relates to food?
Oh man, I mean, I can make a mean bowl of pasta for sure. Like, pasta, I ate pasta every day. Like, we didn't have, it was either pasta or pizza actually.
Okay.
And it's stereotypical, but it's true. This is what they eat. And so I learned how to make a mean pasta. Like, and another funny thing about Italy and pasta is, in America, they put meat or seafood in their pasta. They don't do that in Italy. They
Okay.
eat pasta straight up with either tomato sauce or some other kind of butter sauce or something.
Okay. Okay. So now you're back in America, and what was the job market like? Like, how did you get into your current role? I mean, how did you become Michael Moore's personal chef? How did that even happen?
So the crazy thing is, luckily with that job that I had at the hospital, because I was a part of a union, they allowed me to have a 3 month, time off where I
Mm,
could, my job was still secure. So luckily when I got back, I still had the job at the hospital. So I did go back to the hospital for about, I think it was about 6 months. And same thing happened. I started to become complacent. I started to not enjoy, my time there. And instantly every day I was on the computer looking for jobs, looking for, you know, not restaurant jobs because I knew I didn't want to work in a restaurant. And I think
okay.
all they graduate culinary school, it's like automatically we need to work in a restaurant. But there are so many other outlets for chefs, food media, food styling, catering, opening up your own restaurant, being a food writer. There are so many different outlets. So I didn't know that. I had to kind of teach myself that and do my own research. And I started looking into working in a test kitchen, which is how I then found something called America's Test Kitchen. Have you ever heard of it?
I think so. I just started like watching the Food Network because I've always been like, I'm
Yeah.
watching this, I'm gonna be hungry. So I just started watching stuff like that. So yeah, I've heard of it.
So yes, so I applied to America's Test Kitchen and I actually won the intern. Well, not won the intern. I got the internship, which was literally the following summer. So I had a summer in Italy, and then I had a summer that I ended up moving to Boston, and I worked at America's Test Kitchen, and they are also a TV show, and they were in their 17th season at the time, so I ended up being on the TV show. Well, in the background. I wasn't on camera, but I was in the background chopping, cutting, moving, whatever they asked me to do. So that was a pretty awesome experience.
Okay.
Then you're saying to Michael, a long transition. I worked in so many different places, but the way I got the Michael Moore position was because I had done so well in culinary school and, got the scholarship, the teachers remembered me. So I think, I'm not exactly sure how Michael Moore got in touch with the school, but I think he was maybe looking for people who had just graduated and he wanted to give that chance to people. So they recommended me for the job.
Got it. So I'm hearing a couple of things here, Lucy, right? I'm hearing exploration, right? That you explore your different niches within food service. I mean, the food industry. Let me not say food service, right? Food media, food styling, food critics. You knew that you didn't want to work in a restaurant. So you spent some time in different areas to kind of figure out what it is that you were interested in.
Exactly. Yes.
And then an internship, you talked about having 2 internship experiences, and internships are an opportunity for you to really test your skills in a safe, growing way.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because you're not necessarily working for the company, but you take on this role as if you are. So
Mhm.
usually internships are full-time positions. You're working Monday through Friday or whatever, the company does, and you're working about 40 hours a week. So you take on this full-time role, you're probably getting paid a lot less, but it's absolutely worth it because you'll be doing what everyone else is doing.
I like that. I like that. And then I heard you talk about the relationships that you built at your school, because then they were able, when they had an opportunity, they were able to call on you.
Yes, yes. So because going to Kingsborough was kind of it was my second wind in a sense. I had already done my time at St. John's. I had made the mistakes that I needed to make, that I was supposed to make. And in turn, it taught me that during my second chance, like I took everything I could from it. I made, great relationships with fellow students and faculty. And that kind of goes on till today, and that's extremely important. You need to make relationships, you need to make connections because they will follow you throughout life.
So what is like a typical day like for you?
It kind of depends. That's a tough question because I do so many different things, whether it be working for Michael Moore or food styling. It kind of depends on what I'm doing for the day. Like I'm also a barista, I forgot to mention, at a cafe because I just like doing things with my hands, and there's something fun about having a day off from cooking. But a typical day, let's say I'm working for Michael Moore. It usually starts with him. He emails me or texts me at like 2 in the morning with the menu that he wants for the day, for the next day, and then I will wake up probably about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. I'll go straight to the Upper West Side where he lives. I'll go to a Whole Foods, get all the ingredients that I need. Sometimes some of the ingredients are left over from the week before, so I may not need to rebuy them, but I'll get all the ingredients I need. I'll go to his home and I'll cook. And I package everything up, airtight containers, put it in his refrigerator, and he's able to reheat it as he goes. If it's a day with me food styling, that's a little different because there's a little bit more attention to detail with food styling, and they'll send me, let's say, a call sheet for the day, which will kind of break down each scene. And you have your videographer, you have your photographer, depending on what the scene is for the day. And we'll start at, let's say, 8 or 9 in the morning, and we have to kind of stay on schedule. It's like, we're going to shoot this dish right now, we're going to shoot this dish next, we're going to shoot this dish after lunch. And you kind of just you go with the flow of the day. And usually we wrap it around 5 or 6. So it's such a great job because it's fun, it's creative, and I kind of get to do what I want to do.
I like that. So I'm wondering, if your time at St. John's in majoring in psychology, if that has helped you in terms of being able to actually deal with people, because it sounds like you are in a lot of different people spaces, and I heard you talk about how much you enjoy being around people.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really put a lot of thought into that, but that's a good observation. I mean, I don't exactly remember every class that I had, but what I did do is I did all of the psychology part of the major. The 12 credits are just electives. So I technically, if you want to be technical about it, I have a psychology degree, in a bachelor's, if you want to be technical. But I'm guessing, there's a lot of things that I learned that maybe even subconscious that I don't even know, and that I use in my everyday experiences, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the whole philosophy around liberated success is that I embrace that there's a different pathway for all students to be successful. And, what is your definition of success? Like, do you feel successful in your career with your career journey? How do you feel about it?
So I guess my definition of success is being able to do what you want to do and to be compensated for it. So, I don't like every day. Every day is not a happy day. That's just life. But when I can get up in the morning and I know that I'm going to go do something that I love and that I'm actually going to get paid to do it, is a huge incentive in just everyday life. So to me, that's kind of what success is. It's not about how much money you make, because there's a lot of people who make a lot of money and they hate their jobs. And I don't make the most money either, but it sustains me what I do make. So I think success is really just enjoying your job and getting paid for it. Not just enjoying it, because there's people who enjoy their job and they don't get paid crap for it. And I don't think that's right either. But there's a lot of people out there, but I think it's just getting compensated for doing something you love.
Any advice you want to give some of our young people? I have a lot of students who they say that they want to work in the food industry. They want to be a chef. It looks like this glamorous job on television. Is there any piece of advice, words of wisdom that you would like to give?
Some advice that I guess I could have taken myself when I was younger is what I learned. What I did later on was I reached out, because of social media now. It's so easy to reach out to people and to find people who are who look like you and who share spaces with you. So what I did in the beginning was I worked for free. And I know I don't want to do that, but, and I was 27 years old. It wasn't like I was 19 doing it. And I knew that in order for me to get the experience that I wanted, or even to just get into that space, I had to be willing to take some type of sacrifice. So there was about a good 2 or 3 years that I worked for free. I mean, I also had my job on the side, but at least as far as working in, the chef world and in the industry, I worked for free for a lot of the time. So I would suggest, putting your ego down a little bit and be willing to, at least for a few hours a week, work for free so that you can at least get yourself into that space. Once people see that you're hungry for it, they're going to bring you back on and they're going to pay you for it. At some point, you're going to get compensated.
I like
And also,
that. I like that.
Also, reach out to people. You may feel like you're annoying somebody, but if you like, there was a year that I literally emailed food stylists on like a daily basis, like, hey, remember me? Or like not a daily basis, but like a monthly basis, like, hey, remember me? I reached out to you a month ago. I would love to work with you. If you have any availability, I'm here. And they, at first it was like I get a hit or miss, and then eventually they start calling, they start hitting you back. And just don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask for help. There's somebody else who's gonna give it to you.
I like that. That's really good advice. All right. So, final question. Anything you want to plug? Where do we find you? How do we get some of that food? Lockdown Kitchen. Tell us, where are you? Where do we get some of Chef Luciana's food?
You can find me on all the socials. I mean, not all, but most of the socials. You can find me on Facebook at Luciana Lamboy. You can find me on Instagram, same name, at Luciana Lamboy, one word. You can also find and follow Lockdown Kitchen. It's Lockdown Kitchen BK, because we're established out of Brooklyn, and that's also on social media. We don't have a Facebook page yet. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't have a Twitter that I use. I don't have a Snapchat that I use. I don't have a TikTok that I use, but you can find me on those too.
Got it. So we will definitely put those in, I guess, show notes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Chef Lucy, I am so proud of the woman that you have become. Like, watching you grow up is it's been a blessing. Oh my God, it's really wonderful. And you have an amazing story, and thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Tell me, Chef Lucy, what an inspiring story. Success is doing what you love and getting paid for it. I hear that. This week, I want to give a shout out to Ingrid and a big shout out to Josh. Thank you for your donations and your energy. I appreciate you. Okay, Liberating Success community. You know what our goal is. We need to raise $100,000 for our first cohort of 15 students in a liberated community internship. Through intentional career development activities, our kids will make a liberated career choice. Please continue to share and donate to our GoFundMe campaign. Raising money through friends and family is so important for long-term investors. If my friends and family don't believe in me, why should the strangers? Tell me. All right, come on. We can do this. Let's get this done. As always, the link is in my bio on IG. It's the first comment on Facebook. It's a pinned tweet on Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have a career journey that you want to share with our community, reach out. Let's connect. You know what we got to do. We got to wear our masks, wash our hands, socially distance, and all Black Lives Matter. See you next week. Bye.